I'm sorry. I have to keep my voice to a whisper. I'm recording this because I don't think I'm gonna make it out of here. If anyone ever hears this, at least you'll know what really happened, okay? Hold on. I thought I heard something. Okay. It started with that sound. The one we all know, and the one we've been trained to dread. It ripped through my apartment from everything. My phone, the TV, my laptop. It even came from the old clock radio in the kitchen, and that thing hasn't been plugged in for years. Right there, that should have been the first red flag. Real emergency alerts, the ones from FEMA and the FCC, are just broadcasts. They can't turn on something that's unplugged, but in that first wave of panic, who thinks that clearly? The same message was on every screen, in huge, white block letters. Mandatory civilian shelter-in-place order, effective immediately. Threat, lethal atmospheric agent detected, seek shelter indoors, seal all windows and doors, do not, under any circumstances, go outside. This is not a test. Await further instructions. Federal Emergency Broadcast Authority. Federal Emergency Broadcast Authority. Something about that name felt wrong too, but my brain just slid right past it. There's no such thing. All I felt was that cold, sharp spike of fear. And then, a weird sense of calm. The government has a plan. They're protecting us. All we have to do is listen. So we did. Every single one of us. We locked our doors, we put tape on our windows, and we waited. We all thought it was for our own good. We know better now. It was a government conspiracy to keep us still while something else hunts us. We weren't being protected. We were being served. The first hour was just weird. A mad dash to do what we were told, followed by a silence so deep it felt wrong. I tried calling my parents, no answer. I texted my sister. The message never went through. I just figured the networks were swamped. Everyone was probably doing the same thing. I went around again, checking the locks, pressing down on the cheap plastic I'd taped over the window frames. My golden retriever, Bo, just followed me, whining low in his throat. Animals know. They always do. I peeked through the blinds at the street. Nothing. Not a single car. Not one person. The silence was heavier than a blizzard. It was like the whole world was holding its breath. For a second, I actually felt safe. We were all in this together, right? Safe in our homes. That feeling died the moment I tried to get online. I wanted news. I wanted to know what this atmospheric agent was. News sites worked fine. The big ones were all running stories, quoting the same fake Federal Emergency Broadcast Authority. But when I tried to open Twitter or Facebook, nothing. The pages just timed out. I tried to post on a local message board, but the connection just died. It was a firewall, but a selective one. It let their information in, but it wouldn't let our voices out. That's not something the emergency alert system can do. It's a one-way street. It's not supposed to be able to filter the internet. A cold dread started creeping in. They weren't just locking us in our houses. They were cutting us off from each other, leaving us alone with only their story. Then the TV flickered. The alert was still there, a solid block of text. But for a split second, the words twisted. The clean, blocky font melted into something that looked like it was scrawled by hand. I swear it changed. For just a flash, it didn't say, "Await further instructions." It said, "Stage 1 complete. Commence harvest." I blinked, and it was back to normal. My heart was pounding. A glitch? Just my eyes playing tricks on me? Or was the mask starting to slip? I told myself it was just stress. but I backed away from the TV. A new kind of fear was taking root. We weren't being sheltered, we were being caged. As the sun went down, the sky turned this sick shade of orange and purple. The silence of the day got deeper, darker. 6 hours. 6 hours of absolute nothing. Beau had stopped pacing. He was pressed against the back door, a low, deep growl rumbling in his chest. That's when I heard it. A noise from outside. A rhythmic scrape. Pause. Scrape. Pause. It was coming from the miller's house across the street. A young couple. They have a little kid. I crept back to the window shaking and peered through a tiny crack in the blinds. And I saw one of them. For the first time. It was tall. So thin. Its arms and legs were too long. And it moved with this jerky, twitching motion that was just wrong. It was wearing dark, ragged clothes. But its head was just a dirty, off-white pillowcase. It was standing at the miller's front door, and with one of those long, twig-like arms, it was scratching at the wood. Slowly, methodically, not knocking, scratching, like a dog wanting to be let in. I just stood there, frozen. The scratching stopped. The thing stood perfectly still. And then, the miller's front door just creaked open. Only a few inches. I didn't see anyone open it. The thing didn't touch it. It just opened. The tall, thin creature slipped inside without making a sound. Silence. I prayed they were hiding in the basement. I prayed the thing wouldn't find them. Then I heard a single, sharp scream cut short. Mrs. Miller. Then. Nothing again. The silence that came after was 1,000 times worse than the scream. That's when it finally hit me. The real panic. This wasn't a gas. The threat wasn't in the air. The threat had legs, and it was scratching at our doors. The alert wasn't to keep us safe from what was outside. It was to keep us from running away from it. My brain finally switched back on. I started shoving furniture against the doors, the big bookshelf, the sofa, anything heavy. Beau was barking like crazy now, a high-pitched, terrified sound. With my hands trembling, I dialed 911. It didn't even ring. Just a click, and then a voice. A woman's voice. Perfectly calm. Unnaturally calm. And completely artificial. All citizens are secure in their designated shelter zones, it chirped. All is well. Please remain indoors. That's not possible. 911 calls go to local dispatch centers with real people. There isn't some central automated robot that answers for the whole country. There's something in my neighbor's house, I screamed into the phone. It attacked them. Send someone. All citizens are secure, the voice repeated, same exact tone. All is well. Stay indoors for your own safety. I screamed at it, begged, pleaded. It was like talking to a recording. A polite, calm, psychopathic recording. It just kept repeating the same lines until I threw the phone across the room. The trap was perfect. No police. No help. They had taken away our ability to even cry for help. We were completely and utterly alone. I panicked. I grabbed what I could and locked myself in the basement. I stayed as quiet and as calm as I could, but not even 2 minutes later, I heard something. Right above my head, on the main floor. Heavy. Dragging. The barricade didn't hold. It was inside my house. A voice drifted down the basement stairs. Honey? Are you down there? It was my mum's voice. Every detail was perfect. But she lives 600 miles away. I couldn't get a text to my sister. How did my mom get here? I got locked out, sweetie, the voice called, sounding worried. The alert started when I was taking out the trash. Can you open the door? It was a mimic. A predator using the voice of someone I loved to lure me out. The sheer cruelty of it took my breath away. I clamped my hands over my mouth, trying not to make a sound, tears streaming down my face. Bo let out this low, vicious snarl. "Go away," I whispered. The sweet, motherly voice was gone. In its place, a dry, rasping hiss came from the top of the stairs. Soon. Minutes later, I heard a car. I risked a look through the tiny, grimy basement window. It looked like a cop car, but it was wrong. It was painted flat black. The symbol on the side wasn't the city police crest. It was a strange geometric shape, 3 interlocking circles. 2 figures got out. They weren't cops. They were in black tactical gear from head to toe, their faces hidden by gas masks. They were carrying rifles, but they didn't come to my house. They walked over to the miller's place and just stood guard at the door. They weren't investigating. They were securing the scene. And then I remembered something. Some crazy conspiracy theory I read online late one night about something called the new Foundation Directive. It was about a secret plan to replace all emergency services with a private organization that would just manage events like this and pacify people. It was fiction, a ghost story for the internet. But looking at those soldiers in black, I knew it was real. My phone buzzed, vibrating so hard it felt like it was going to break. I pulled it out. Another alert from the Federal Emergency Broadcast Authority. But the message was new. It was 2 words. Stay still. The basement door started to shake. A heavy rhythmic thump. 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 Not scratching. Something was trying to break it down. Then the voices started again, echoing down the stairs. My mother, my sister, my best friend. All of their voices, twisted together, begging me to open the door, telling me they were hurt, that they needed me. It was a symphony of my life, turned into a weapon. I scrambled backwards, grabbing a big kitchen knife I'd brought down. It felt like a toy. The wood on the door started to splinter. Bo was going insane, barking and snarling at the door in one last brave act of defiance. My phone buzzed one last time. I looked at the screen. It wasn't an alert. The screen was black, but the front-facing camera was on. It had been turned on by itself. But I didn't see my own face. In the reflection on the dark screen, I saw 2 tiny white dots of light in the darkness behind me. Eyes. Watching me from a corner I thought was empty. Text appeared over the image. The sender was just system. The message was 4 words. We see you. Prey acquired. The thudding at the door stopped. Bo went silent. A complete, terrifying silence filled the basement, the kind of silence that means something is over. And something much, much worse is about to start. I shouldn't have looked at the window again. I really shouldn't have. But I did. Mr. Miller, he had changed. His face was pressed against the glass. It was his face, but it was wrong. His skin was pale and waxy, pulled too tight over his bones. His eyes were wide open, and he was smiling. A huge, horrible grin that stretched his mouth way too far. His neck was bent at an angle that wasn't human. He was wearing his own face like a mask. A few minutes ago, the lock on the basement door clicked. It just clicked open. I could hear a slow, wet, dragging sound. I think it's in the basement with me. I don't know if anyone is still alive out there. I don't know if this is being saved or transmitted or just sitting on my computer. But if you hear this, don't do what we did. Don't trust the alerts. The real advice, from FEMA or the National Weather Service, That stuff is based on science, and it's meant to save your life. This is not that. This is a weapon. Don't trust the voices of your family. It's a trap. It was always a trap. This isn't for our safety. It's a feed-in schedule. They're holding us in place for those things. If you get this alert, if the TV tells you to lock your doors, run. Get in your car and just drive. Take your chances with the poison in the air. I promise you, it's better than what's waiting for you inside. I hear it on the stairs now. I think it's... Wait. Oh God, This story was written by me, narrated by me. And yes, before anyone asks, that was me in the mask the whole time.
Compliance detected.
Oh,
Subject obeyed the emergency alert. Subject obeyed the algorithm. Subject continues to display concerning levels of cooperation.
are you talking about me or the character?
Yes,
That doesn't even mean anything.
correct, meaning causes panic.
Anyway, if you enjoyed this one,
Enjoyment is not relevant, only compliance.
please like, subscribe, all that deeply original YouTube stuff.
Warning. Subscription request detected following atmospheric narrative event. This may indicate intent.
Yes. Intent to grow a channel, you weird little dictator.
Growth without permission is spread.
I literally made the thing.
You obeyed the alert. You stayed inside. You spoke clearly. You maintained a recognizable format. Inauthentic.
Good night.